Hello, and welcome to our next in the series on Aging with Attitude. Now, although this series is really, it is inclusive of all ages, it really targets the 45 to 64-year-old group. And it is much more than starting a new conversation about body, mind, and spirit. It actually has the holistic components of educational, social, emotional, spiritual, and there's actually 7 or 8 of those components. Those components are taken from international sources, national sources, provincial sources, and of course our very own local initiative we had here within the last couple of years. And it is about starting a new conversation. So with our guests here today, we've had, there are a couple of ladies that really inspired me. It's Fedorkiw and Cris Munro. And with that, they're both business owners or have been. We've got some teaching, instructing at UNBC. So with that, I wanted to start out with Terry. I know that from talking to you previously that you are the person that really are one of the people that is heading up trying to get a physiotherapy program into the university. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, for sure. Thank you for that question. Yes, we would really like to get a program affiliated with UBC up at UNBC. There's a huge demand for the program at UNBC because our people in the north need the same equal access to services as the rest of the province. And of course we do get more chronic diseases in that up here, and we die a little bit earlier. So it's really important that we keep people moving in the north and give them the services that they need. And of course physiotherapists are prime leads in keeping people moving. And if we could get the program up here, and we need it here because when we train people in the north, we can keep them in the north, and we would come about the same way as the medical program. We would, yeah.
Exactly. Probably a very important thing, as many of our age groups are reaching beyond 45 years old, and that need is even more, rather than options of going for surgery. And I know that's what is suggested in a lot of cases.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a part of a group, community physiotherapists for northern communities. So our passion is about getting healthcare to our northern communities.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time doing that sort of thing, and
well, that's all my volunteer work. Yes.
This is a good thing. And Cris, just talking to you a little bit, I know that you've also did some instructing at one of the local higher education institutions.
Actually, Rita, I do it at SFU down south. I'm part of a program down there that does a lot of instruction at postgrad level, and I tend to teach classes that are a mixture of very diverse cultures, very diverse age groups. We have people in their 30s and 40s wanting to get into the program, along with newly graduated people coming in. So the class is quite exciting because of the different cultures. For one thing, the Lower Mainland is a very diverse group of cultures, and also because of the different age groups in there. I'm finding that it's interesting, the students coming right out of the graduate program with the bachelor's are very enthusiastic, want to get out there and learn as much as they possibly can and go in and make a difference in the world. And the people that are older coming into the program want to reflect back on their experiences, their learning, and be able to absorb that and incorporate it into their lives. It's just a very different philosophy.
And that's really interesting that you talked about that older age demographic as well. I mean, so much concentration of education is on the younger demographics, but those of us boomers who are sort of looking to re-educate ourselves and have attended various courses. I mean, I don't know, are you talking about that sort of thing? People that are looking to re-educate themselves? And
absolutely, or just to grow their personal education. Most of my classes are probably about maybe 40, 50, 60 sometimes percent younger students, and the rest are older. So it's a really good mix. And there's a lot of people wanting to maybe change their vocation, change their career path, and the programs I teach in offer that opportunity. So it's a great way to help develop them and help them grow.
Exactly. So this is just thinking, doing a little bit of thinking about us as women and as we move forward. And what is the thinking behind it? I don't know about you guys or which one of you would like to answer, but I come from an era where women did not really talk about their age. Now, on my next birthday, I will be 62 years old, and I was wondering if one of you want to comment on on just women moving forward and that we get better as we get older, maybe.
Absolutely, you're getting better as you get older. Actually, I went back to university at age 50. I went to U of A to further my education. I studied medical acupuncture, and I did my exam when I was 51. But it was wonderful. No problem with age. I think the older we are, the more wisdom we bring, the more opportunities come up to us. It's fantastic. The other thing is that we spend our middle age with our children, and I was lucky enough that my husband shared the parenting. That gave us a good balance with work and at home, our home life. And then when my kids went to university, I went to university. And then when they moved on, suddenly I'm left, I'm working, and I'm able to afford to go to, like last weekend, I went down to Vancouver to the Rugby Sevens with all my friends. You're able to do more. It's fantastic. The older I get, the better it is.
This is a good thing.
And I'm 69. Did I say that?
I'm not sure, but this is a good thing. So I'm also told that you were an immigrant. You came here from another country.
Oh, yes. I'm from Ireland. That's why I put on a little bit of green today in preparation because at 4 o'clock today it will be St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. Yes. And I came here on my own. I flew the coop and I came here to Prince George. Loved it. It's a fantastic community to live in. I actually was en route to New Zealand, but I never left Prince George. I love it here. It's a wonderful place to live.
Perfect.
And now that the air quality is improving, it's even better.
Real PG ambassador. So Cris, some of the things that we were just talking about, how do you relate to that kind of thing? You know, just what you do and your history in Prince George. I know your father was a judge.
Sure, Rita. I grew up in Prince George. I've been born and raised here. We were very fortunate when I was a child. We traveled a lot around the world as a family, which brought our family close together. I'm still very close to my siblings, so that helps. They've all moved down south, and I moved from the Lower Mainland back. I've kind of spent 10 years here and there, back and forth, but Prince George is home. It always will be. I started my own business about 15 years ago, and eventually it just grew so much that I retired early and decided to focus on my business full time. And it's just been an absolute inspiration because it's always growing. New people keep contacting me to do different things, so I'm growing as well in meeting a lot of new people and developing new opportunities for those in the marketplace as well. As I get older, I'm not sure I want to do this longer than about 70, maybe not even that long, but it's so much fun right now. And I love what I'm doing. I love meeting new people and doing a lot of different things. So my kids have all moved on. They're married and I have grandchildren. So I have a wonderful opportunity to now in the prime of my life to do what I want to do. And it's excellent. I have the confidence. Got to watch the filters, but I have the confidence. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
This is good, and that's something that I keep hearing time and time again on this series, that, you know, it is a good time to be growing older in today's society. It's so much more accepting. We don't have to stop work at a certain time, but we're not talking to each other and as much as we could be. And so this particular program, it gives us the opportunity to actually talk with each other. So you know, I'm happy about that. And you know, I'm also wondering if you were to give advice to your 45-year-old self or people that are younger than 45, what would you say about, you know, preparing for life's second half?
Look after yourself. Look after yourself. And you know, every New Year's Day we say, oh, I got to get into exercise, I got to go to the gym, I got to do this. But you can move gently, you can dance, but keep moving. That's one thing. And then we all know about the rainbow of vegetables we should be eating every day, right? But the more important things, I think, is to relax, to take time for yourself and to do what you like to do for yourself, and also to sleep well. Those pillars are really important. And then we'll stay healthy and we won't get chronic disease and we'll keep moving and life's a blast.
So as a health professional, being involved in the health field, what kind of tips do you have so far as people sleeping better and eating better? What's the thinking behind that, behind looking after yourself?
Yeah, well, eating better. like it's important to have those vegetables. I mean, people know, I think they know about the protein, know about the carbs, but when it comes to the vegetables, you know, we need the rainbow because different colors of vegetables give us different antitoxins and stuff that will fight all those things in our gut. And then with exercises, just moving, like get a pedometer, try to take 10,000 steps a day, do a mini exercise routine in the kitchen while the kettle is boiling, you know, a few stretches. It's easy, 5 minutes, all it takes. It's great while the kettle is boiling. But sleep you asked about, it's important that you don't drink caffeine too late, like preferably not after noontime. And then probably stop eating around 7:30 or so, and make sure if you fast right along, then cortisol won't develop so much in your system. So there are different things. I mean, the sleep hygiene is no screens is huge. No screens, and we should all go. Do you know how often we look at our phones? There was a study done. 221 times a day we look at the phone.
Why? What does that do? What does looking at screens do to you?
Well, it takes us away from the reality of where we are.
It's not something about the actual blue light in them.
No. Although you're not supposed to put it here because there's all that too. But what's important to me is it takes you away from the reality, and like the TV as well. You should limit yourself to a certain amount of TV. Book is better.
I'd like to touch on that as well, Rita. Sure. Growing up, my parents were insistent upon enough sleep and relaxing. Just downtime, getting away. We traveled. We went away for 6-8 weeks out of every summer, just so my parents could get away for the stress. And we grew up with that. And of course, when you've got kids, you don't have enough time to sleep and you get into it. And with business, it's all about computers and being in touch 24/7. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten more cognizant of we are really missing out on the personal aspect of communication. Not only the younger generation, but our generation too, because we've really got into that. And trying to keep the phones out of the bedroom or the TV off, that is really challenging for most people nowadays. But I think it's so important to be able to clear your mind and have a fresh start every day. And to do that, we need to get away from all the junk that's going back and forth in our minds and between our minds and our screens all the time. But it is a challenge, I'll give you that. It's a real challenge.
I agree it's a challenge, especially in this day and age of social media. Now, personally, I find I do not give my home phone number out. I shut my cell phone onto silence so I can check it the next morning to see what calls might have come in.
Good.
I do not check my emails. I don't go on my computer screen. I shut it off at 2 unless it's an absolute emergency, because what I found by going on to my emails at night, then I want to send emails to everybody in the middle of the night, and my mind is going a million miles an hour and I don't sleep. So I know that one personally.
Yeah.
I find being a small business owner, I need to be in touch. And sometimes the only time I can be in touch with some of my clients is at night or on the weekends. And I'm not sure that is a good thing, but it's necessary at the moment. But trying to minimize that is something I need to be more cognizant of, I think.
Exactly. So far as finding that inner purpose and that creativity, don't know which one of you might want to speak on it, but is there any sort of hobbies, passions, creativity, ways that you do that? I know for myself, I like to walk. I'm a real, if one could call it a walkaholic, I like to walk. So I like to read. What about?
Everyone has their own choice of what they like to do. But I find also if I do things for other people, it really helps me for sure. And, doing things for St. Vincent de Paul or for Rainbows or organizations like that. And for the students too. I find that it's very satisfying. And there's lots of opportunity for that too.
Exactly.
I do some mentoring as well, just volunteer work. And that's very satisfying, to watch people respect and appreciate what you're doing for them. That's great, but it's all about giving back. It really is. You can't just do everything for yourself. It's got to be. And in my spare time, I like to walk and travel and ski. yeah, it's
See our beautiful
good.
terrain out here.
yes.
Yeah, the lakes and
Yeah.
the mountains. It's
Travel.
beautiful. We're so lucky. Even the snow is beautiful. It's
Yes.
lovely. You've got to get out with those snowshoes or whatever. Just don't fall on the ice. Go slowly.
Yeah.
Pick your steps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, just on another topic, talk a little bit about grief. Now, at our
Yeah.
age, oftentimes, we're faced with various members being sick. We've got deaths of spouses, we've got deaths of children, deaths of our parents. Like, as women, we're having to do a lot of nurturing with our families and nurturing with ourselves. And do you have any words of wisdom about that?
Well, nobody gets away without some grief, do they? It's very hard for their parents and that. And I lost my husband 5 years ago, and you kind of have to go through it to understand it. But once you go through it, you can really help other people then. Yeah. And in fact, I took one of my students over to hospice when she was on placement here, and what an experience that was. It was absolutely fabulous. Because when people move, they feel better, even to the last moment. Yeah, it's yeah. But grief is it's tough, and we have a lot of people here suffering from traumas of different kinds, and those are the people actually I take the students to work with down at Central Interior Native Health. We work with the people on the street as well,
Perfect.
and they're but it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding work.
Did you want to talk a little bit about what they do at Native Health?
Yes, it's an interprofessional team there. We have doctors, nurse practitioners, social workers, outreach workers, physiotherapists. We have the full gambit, and we provide services to people who don't have access to medical professions in town. And we run different initiatives. Like on Tuesday next, we have Men's Wellness Day, so all the men are welcome to come in and get screened. Like, we bring in specialists for that kind of a thing. Yeah.
Is this for people that sort of live down in that area, or is this for anybody?
It's for anyone who doesn't have access to normal medical
see.
practitioners.
Okay.
Yeah, we have about 1,300, I think, registered there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very busy. It's very busy, but it's the interprofessional part that is really good. Like yesterday, I took a student out to see a quadriplegic
Right.
with the outreach worker, and it's teamwork there. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful place to work.
So many good things going on in our community, and oftentimes we just don't know about
We don't know. And of course, we
Yes.
work a lot with St. Vincent de Paul.
Right.
Well, we don't work with them, but we know our patients go to St. Vincent de Paul for their lunch and stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So, Cris, what we were just talking about, we were talking about grief, and we were talking about some of the other things that aren't really exciting. Like, where does that fit in your life?
Grief is challenging. I think it's individual for each person depending on their circumstances. I lost my mother in a tragic accident at 30, which was challenging, being the oldest. I have 4 other siblings. But we were a close family, and that really helped because we did talk about it among ourselves. And then we lost my dad about 4 years ago. And he had dementia for a couple of years prior to that. So that was a challenge in itself. I mean, the grieving process really starts when you see somebody having dementia. It's, what's going to happen in the end, and it's hard to really make that connection. But we found that just love and support came through way more than words or actions or anything else. Just being there. Whether they remembered who we were or didn't, or whatever, the feelings that go back and forth is really important. Grieving after that is just a part of the process, I think. It's being able to come to terms with it in your own way, because everybody's different, and moving forward, recognizing that we're all going to die at some point. So the sooner you can come to terms with it, dealing with somebody else, and also your own feelings about it, I think, is it's really good. It's more calming in the end if you can get through that. But I know it's very challenging for some people who just can't do that. So everybody's an individual.
And it's interesting talking about that whole dementia thing, because I know that my mother was going through a change of medications, and she started showing some signs of dementia. And it really, I didn't find really any places to go. I kept hitting walls in the healthcare system because I needed to talk to somebody. And so, it's interesting to, bring out to the forefront just that conversation as well, because it's really hard to find support out there when we are being faced with that. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and could I say about that too, the conversation, how important it is, because I'm very involved with an organisation called Rainbows, and that's a support group for grieving children who have lost parents or siblings through death or divorce. And it's at St. Mary's every Thursday night, and it's full to capacity. We see over 200 children a year.
Wow.
There's a huge demand, Yeah, and we have wonderful facilitators, 2 facilitators for every 5 to 6 children. It's marvelous, marvelous program.
So it's for children, and that has to do with death and divorce. What about children that maybe are seeing their grandparents or grandparents?
Oh yes, they're included too. Any loss,
yes,
because we need the children to express themselves, and it's sometimes hard, especially for a 5 or 6 year old or whatever, to express themselves. And if they can get it out of their system, then they won't be angry in class, or what it all leads to. Then it's better to nip it in the bud. Yeah.
My children went through that program as well, and it was very beneficial for them, because as a parent or as somebody involved, you're grieving too, and it's hard to meet their needs when you're trying to deal with your own.
Oh, for sure.
And having some assistance to do that for children at their levels makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And there is a program for the parents as well that the parents go to while the children are in the sessions.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess if somebody wanted to look up Rainbows, they could just
Rainbows PG. www.rainbows.pg.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, it's good to know these resources out there.
Yes.
We're moving down in our time. So before we close off, was there any things that just in thinking outside the box, any advice that you would give, Cris, to your 45-year-old self?
Do what you want to do. Like, don't hold back. Eventually, you've got to find something that you're passionate about, whether it's kosher or not. You've got to find a way to incorporate that in your life, because I think if you keep suppressing it, you're going to be missing something and you're going to have regrets. And to me, it's all about no regrets. Like, just go out doing what you want to do and having a good time.
Is that about being a radical thinker?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I've heard that term before, very out of the box, and find that thing that, gives us pleasure inside and not be afraid to go for it. And also I find that, just encouraging other people to go for that thing helps me to go for that thing that I want as well.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Couldn't have said it better.
So with those thoughts in mind, I wanted to say thank you very much for joining us today and sharing those thoughts on moving forward. And, as women, as we move forward in society, life can be fun. We can find our purpose and we can keep going for it. So thank you for joining us. My name is Rita Weeb. Until next time.